So one of the biggest industries here in data centers, like we have the road awakening when the AI is customers racks in, for example, in Tokyo, like it's like, for example, like a 70 kilowatt of power. So just a number, kilowatt of power, and then the air cold systems couldn't handle it. You know why? Because they had to rush to install the immersion cooling tanks. Just imagine, you there's already racks there in EI because they underestimate the power of EI, the needs of the EI, and then meanwhile also, for example, in the liquid stack in Europe. So liquid stack in Europe. So just like I have done research, like I saw this coming, saw this kind of situation that and now specializes in cooling high density setups. Hi, this is Christian Dupalco from Bureau Veritas. So, and you're watching Go to the Data Center Market Forecast. So, see you guys.
Hi, it's Joshua Feinberg, host of the Data Center Go-To Market podcast, and I'm thrilled to have a very special guest joining me from the other side of the planet today. I'm welcoming Christian Dupalco, who is a commissioning engineer with Bureau Veritas in Japan. Christian, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
It's my pleasure. I'm really curious, how did you end up in your current role as an expert on commissioning with Bureau Veritas in Japan?
Yeah, to be precise, I am working as mechanical engineer for almost 9 years already. So a total of since 2014. So I was working from my country in Philippines, but right now I was trying to merge to Japan. So working currently in Japan as a commissioning engineer in Bureau Veritas. So based on my research about mechanical critical systems or HVAC systems, so I believe data center trends right now will be expanding, not just in APAC and also in Europe and also in Middle East. So that's why I was interested in going and then moving forward to the data center.
Was this something that you always thought about when you're growing up? Did you have an interest when you were in high school or thinking about university that someday that you wanted to get into some aspect of engineering working in critical facilities? Or was there something that happened as you were growing up that led you to this career?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Actually, I never know what career should I pursue when I was going through college. That the one that what came up in my mind is I want to become an engineer. That's it. And there I don't know what type of engineer is it, mechanical, electrical, or computer engineer. There are so many engineering courses that I have experience when I was applying in my in my country. However, I found out that I love a car. So when you love a car, of course, it's mechanical thing. Then I proceed to doing mechanical engineering, and I right now I'm here in Japan, working as a commissioning engineer for data centers.
That's really fascinating on two levels. One is I interviewed someone that owns a colocation data center in Australia. His interview is going live in the next couple of weeks, and he had also a strong interest in cars, high-end, high-performance sports cars, and built all the software to be able to control the computers inside a car. And the second part of it too is my son, who's a teen, is exactly in the place probably where you were maybe 10, 15 years ago, where he's shown some interest in engineering. He's a couple of years away from college. He doesn't really know what that's going to look like yet, but yeah, he's super curious to learn more. I give him some of our podcasts to watch as well, because probably a good maybe 10 or 20% of the people that end up in these go-to-market related roles in data centers, critical facilities, digital infrastructure come from engineering backgrounds. Some of them ultimately end up in sales and business development roles. Some end up as founders and entrepreneurs. Some end up as CEOs. Some end up just being practitioners on the engineering side throughout their full career. But it's a strong correlation between people that ultimately pursue these kinds of careers that come from an engineering background.
Yes, exactly. So I think most engineers have, have their own future way of thinking, like for example, innovation, and then creating their own, let's say, discovery. So if you are definitely most engineers so far that I have been talking to and then having a conversation, and then based on my colleagues, they are, going from one technical side to another technical side, and then project management side, and then some people are also don't like the project management side, more focused on technical side, and some are, just after 10 years, After 10 years, I will be building my own contractor. So this just, that depends on what makes you, I say, feel satisfied or happy. So in my case, I love moving forward with data trends or data center trends or innovation right now in the AI. So that's why I decided to pursue my career in mechanical engineering. And then right now I'm working as, here in data center.
What's fascinating about that as well is I see a lot of people that start in engineering related roles, and at some point during the middle of their career, they're moving into more not just client facing roles, but client facing roles in a business development and sales role. And what tends to work out really well is increasingly, whether it's facilities engineers, whether it's technology executives, they don't really want to spend a lot of time with salespeople anymore until they're almost ready to buy, but they love spending time with experts. And when
Yes,
you're
exactly.
able to be the deeply niched expert that knows all about the issues that they're going through because you pretty much did their job, you were like a former coworker of theirs, a former peer of theirs, it tends to work really, really well.
Yes, exactly. So most engineers tend to go to a deeper understanding of whatever they are, involved with. For example, you are a mechanical engineer involved in, let's say, right now we're talking about data centers. So data centers, so not just about how you do the design, how you do the commissioning. Of course, you need to understand how the market works, and then how would you position yourself, because there are so many engineers. But currently, since data centers are, uh, jumping, booming, not just from small to the big, like billions of dollars investing. Like, for example, if we have Microsoft, Amazon, and then Blackstone, those are big companies. So invested like 45 billion US dollar, not just in APAC and also in Europe and also in Middle East. So just imagine what would why would the big corporation like Microsoft or Google are spending this kind of money? So they know that they are, they are big guys. So that's why as an engineer, of course, I need to learn a lot based on my, expertise, and then to expand more my learnings, and then, having some connections. Like right now I'm talking with Joshua, so it's a good thing for myself, building connections, and then, sharing my knowledge if it is anything that might be helpful.
Exactly. And on that note, what advice would you give, Christian, to someone that is maybe not even at the beginning of their career? They're thinking about what they want to study in college or university, and they've heard about engineering opportunities, they've heard about client-facing jobs. What would you talk about over breakfast or coffee with someone that maybe is a cousin or a niece or nephew or a neighbor or coworker's teenager who approaches you for advice on what they should be thinking about with these kinds of careers, what they should do to prepare today, what it's like, what you think it'll be like in 5 years or so when they graduate?
Yeah, I think that's a very great question. So, in my opinion, since I've been here in the industry for almost 10 years already, so 9 plus years, 3 years in my country in Philippines, and then 7 years in Japan. So even though I was studying here in Japan, working in Japan, so I was dealing with clients like in Germany or in Australia, and sometimes in Singapore and India. So I've been going from one place to another, because commissioning is just like doesn't involve only in one location. You need to travel from one place to another because you need to understand the call system. So, for example, if you are starting in this kind of industry, for example, you want to pursue engineering or overall, so whatever you are passionate about. So, I would suggest like first things first is what exactly do you want. So, and then the second thing is, if I will be asking you just one question before you proceed on what you would love to do or in the future, is what would you love to do if you will like if you do it all the time? So just like what would one thing that you love to do if you want to do it all the time? So I believe that's one thing that you should ask yourself just before proceeding to any like jumping from one place to another, because there are some people who already trying to pursue this. Oh, I want to become an attorney, I want to become an engineer, but at the end of the day, after 1 year or second semester of their studies, they don't feel passionate about what they are doing. So they don't have the, I can say, the deep whys. So if you heard about Simon Sinek, so reading about why it's very important, why you want to do this kind of thing. So in my suggestion, so you have to understand that what you are passionate about, and then you have to think about it yourself deeply, like if I will be doing this, what would this matter in the next 10 years in my life? So that's it. So that's the only thing that I can provide. You're passionate about one thing, and then just never give up. You can achieve definitely whatever you want. So just saying, like, for example, the word I'm possible, I'm impossible is just saying I'm possible. So if you cut up the word impossible, it's just like I'm possible. So that depends on you. So mostly is you're passionate about one thing, or just focus on one thing. If there's engineering, then engineering. So what engineering? Is mechanical engineering? Do you love computers? Do you love games? Do you love, softwares? So whatever it is. So I think that would be the best advice I could provide to those who want to start.
Is understanding your why, understanding your motivation, what you're passionate about?
Yes, exactly, that's right.
Christian, what about someone that's fairly well established in their career, maybe a peer of yours, maybe around your same age, give or take 5 or 10 years? You worked with them early on in your career, you haven't seen them in a while, you used to be close friends, and you bump into them at a conference or in the airport, and you sense that they're really stressed out, burned out. They're trying to figure out what they should do for the next chapter of their career. What advice would you offer to a friend in that situation that wants to continue working in some aspect of data centers, mission critical facilities, digital infrastructure?
Yeah. I think that's one way of the great, general question for everybody. So most engineers, or like every workers who have experience or doing what kind of work you are involved with is in the nearest of their career, in the, let's say, in the peak of their career, like 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, they will just imagine themselves like, am I doing the right thing? So why I'm not satisfied? So I have pay to be I have many bills to pay. So there are many things that they are thinking. They are thinking about their bills, their family, their relationships, themselves. But one thing that they don't understand is, in my opinion, so I believe is the one most important thing is invest in yourself. So invest in yourself. That's it. You have to study more about yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to, go to the gym, exercise yourself. So just making yourself better every day. So just like 1%, just 1% better than yesterday. So today I'm not good enough. Then you work very hard. Then tomorrow will be 1%, just 1%. If you total it 1% every day, that would be around 365% per year. So that's very big, very big, progress. So just imagine just 1% per day. You just exert, like, for example, I'm doing push-up right now for 50. Oh, let's say 10. You cannot do 50, you can do 10. Then tomorrow you'll be doing it 11 or 12. So that's it. That goes also in any career, not just doing like, oh, because I want to pay bills, so because I need this, I need to pay this, I need to provide for my family. So there are many things you have to consider, but one thing is they don't enjoy the life. So you have to enjoy your life too. Work-life balance is very, very way of saying like, oh, I need to balance this. I will be going for travel, so I'll be saving for money, I will be saving for my cars or whatever insurances. So many things. But if you will work very hard on yourself, so just focus on one thing. Let's say engineering. Me, like myself, mechanical engineering. So I'm more focused on mechanical engineering. So what are the trends right now? So you have to understand also what are the trends, or what are the big companies are doing right now. So AI, we have AI, and then we have data centers. So just booming. I was lucky because I was able to involve in the centers like 3 or 4 years ago. And then right now I was able to do some kind of designing, and then I keep on learning every single day. So there are many things that I was not able to pass the exam, or I was not able to pass the interview, like 10 interviews, rejections, 10 rejection letters. But right now, so I keep on working and then keep on improving myself. So that's, you will build yourself, you build your confidence, and then in that way, just never give up. You can definitely find your own way if you go to the word, like, for example, rabbit hole, on how to make yourself a better person. So if you will be making yourself better every single day, and then in the long run, definitely your sacrifice, or the way how you provide to how would you love yourself is definitely will never betray you. So I think that's one thing. So invest in yourself. That's number one thing. So just treat yourself like someone you love. Just that's one thing. So are you happy with your situation? If you're not happy, then change it. Then work for yourself. I think that's one most important thing that you should consider. But because if you don't consider those things, I believe, like, you will in the near future, like, for example, 1 year or 2 years, you will just working like like a robot. So you don't have any purpose at all. So why you're doing this thing? Because I need to pay. So it's just one thing. So it's just like you have to make a little bit a difference. So I believe that's one thing. So I think that's most important. I think that's it from my side.
Yeah, the idea of investing in yourself really resonates with me. And when you mention going to the gym, a lot of times what friends and family members and colleagues use as the excuse for not having time to invest in themselves and not having time to invest in it is exactly that, is that they don't have time. And then what I usually talk through is, okay, you're going to the gym anyway. Let's say you're going just for 30 minutes 3 times a week. So you
Yes,
have an hour and a
that's
half,
right.
that's 75 hours a year. I get that not
Exactly.
every single time you're on the elliptical or treadmill that you're going to want to have professional development or podcasts in your ear. But even if you only did that half of the time, there's 30
Yes,
or 40
exactly.
hours a year. And then you do travel
Yes,
for
of course.
work. You're probably sitting in airports and can be
Yes,
listening while you're traveling. You
definitely.
might commute to an
Definitely.
office. So
Yes.
yeah, that's a really efficient way for people to keep up with data centers and engineering
Yeah.
trends and AI. So yeah, I'm a huge believer in combining
Yeah.
the fitness with the professional development.
Yeah. Just make it simple. If you want to do something, then do your best. Just do with all of your heart. So whatever it is, so it doesn't matter. So just focus on one thing, do it with all your heart, and then try hard, try even harder, because everyone there are coming to compete you. So if you're not good enough, of course, no one will like you. No one will be asking for your help, or someone will be working for you. I believe if you work very hard, so someone will ask you, will provide information, you're sharing information, you're having friends, you're sharing cultures. So many things you can do as long as you try your best every single day, just 1% per day. I believe it's more than enough.
Yeah. I think the fitness is an underrated part of this. I know so many people in this space that
Mm.
travel 25, 30 times a year out of the 52 weeks in the year. And with that kind of schedule, whether it's traveling to clients or traveling to conferences, you got to be in really good physical shape to be able to do all of that,
Exactly.
especially as you get older. So yeah, having time to keep fit mentally, physically, all that stuff is a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Christian, when you think about the kinds of clients that you work with internally and externally, the kind of people that you interact with on a regular basis, what do you think is the biggest challenge or problem that people are facing when it comes to data center commissioning?
Yeah. I think that's most common questions for most of course. All I can say is there's many things that it challenges us in data center. So one of the most challenging part that you will be, for example, most of the people are having difficulty in things is I can see is just I can see like biggest mistake that I see expressed is like, for example, underestimating the how much power the AI needs. So right now I'm working with Google, who are using AI power data centers. So like, for example, companies like Nvidia. So if you heard about Nvidia, so they are pushing like GPUs to consume much more electricity than a small house. So I heard you know about the Nvidia, that how the GPU is much faster to use rather than the CPU. So let's say I will provide an example about CPU and then GPU. So the CPU is just like it just control processing unit in the PC. Just like you need to put it in one at the same time, just one precise thing, one work at a time. But GPU is just like many people are there, just many small people, but doing it at at the same time. So it's like having just for example, if I will be giving an example, like CPU just one time work, but GPU is much faster, so in milliseconds. So that's it. But if the one thing that having difficulty, like for example, if during the AI is like for example, it's a wake up call in digital reality. So one of the biggest industries here in data centers, like they have a road awakening when the AI is customers racks in, for example, in Tokyo, like it's like for example like a 70 kilowatt of power. So just a number, kilowatt of power, and then the air cold systems couldn't handle it. You know why? Because they had to rush to install the immersion cooling tanks. Just imagine, you there's already racks there in AI, because they underestimate the power of AI, the needs of the AI. And then meanwhile, also for example in the liquid stack in Europe. so liquid stock in Europe. So just like I have done research, like I saw this coming, that saw this kind of situation that and now specializes in cooling high density setups. If you heard about cryptocurrency, so Bitcoin mines in Norway. So Bitcoin, so they need a lot of more energy. They need energy. Of course, you need to mine Bitcoin, then you need energy. And then when they submerge entire servers in mineral oil, then if you're not planning of AI powers hunger today, then you'll be scamming tomorrow. So definitely one biggest mistake or challenging that say I see experts are making right now is they underestimate the power of AI needs. I believe that's one thing.
Yeah, that's super interesting as well, because people have been talking about this for easily at least a year already, but you're seeing in the field that people are still getting caught short and underestimating the power
Yes,
demands.
exactly.
Really, really
Yes.
interesting. Do you think it's a culture or an education issue? Do you think it's that the planning cycles take too long? And in other words, like the power requirements for what's in place now were thought of 3 or 4 years ago before OpenAI. What do you think is the
Mhm.
biggest root cause of what's causing people to underestimate the AI requirements?
So regarding to the AI requirements, so that depends on whatever what the purpose of basically data centers gathering all the data. So and then right now AI is like all I can say is before we understand about the needs of the AI is just you have to understand that AI is like we can say it's artificial intelligence is categorized in four things. So I would say AI is it would be categorized in four different ways. So like for example, right now the most common while AI right now is very I see. Let's go in the basic one. So machine learning. So machine learning, that's one thing. So I will categorize in four types. The first one is machine learning. So machine learning, for example, is like I can say like for example the spam detection in email. So for example, if you will be opening an email and then you have also the option. Well, if this is spam or not, you don't have to click. So just like you just like spam detection in email. That's it. That's one thing of machine learning. So that's one thing. The second thing is like natural language process. For example, you are opening a chatbot in website, so you're opening chatbot on website. So if you're opening chatbot in website, you will be, asking for some information, right? So they will be asking directly. So just like natural language process, you just ask and they already you have some options and then they will be clicking it. So what or whatever you have to choose and then click it and then they will process the data. And then the other part is conversational AI. I say conversational AI, just conversion like conversational AI. So for example, like customer support. So we keep on upgrading. Just imagine. First is like if you know about mini chat. So that's natural language process. Like if you will be going to this click and then there will be another 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 answer will be coming up or the another from questions that you choose and then this will come up if yes or no then this will come up. That's natural language AI. And then for conversational it's just like customer support. So you can use right now in customer support not just automated prompts. So customer support is like you build your own website and then from there you can automatically use AI to answer whatever the customer needs. And for that it's very very important that you have to understand what your customer needs and then what are the customers looking for in your website. In that way then you can improve your website. Or customer is like a customer is searching about this topic, then I can understand this. Oh okay, I will create much more data on this topic. So for example, if you have like some data in Google. So you have the idea, you have the data. So the data will never lie. So numbers never lie. And then right now is one other thing about AI is like generative AI. So right now is like text generation and then video generation. So if you heard about Mid Journey, and sometimes I'm using right now like Mid Journey and then DeepSeek and then ChatGPT. So those are one of the most I say Gemini and then one of the most famous AI right now in the market. So generative AI is the like just imagine you put a text and then it will convert to a video. So just imagine how how powerful the AI right now. So you cannot you don't know how the AI works definitely in the like algorithm basis. You can do a programming or you have to understand how do they process things. But definitely the AI, they don't understand what exactly the inside, how the AI do it. They just know how do the program, how the AI works, because the purpose of having information like in AI, like for example, I see chatbot or customer support in AI, like they will be asking, if you keep on asking AI many times, so the AI will keep on learning, because AI is like a brain, a human example, a human brain, but it keep on learning. So that just, you are teaching let's say as small as, let's say a baby, and then it keep on until college. And college, you have to teach everything. So the more you teach the AI, the more you chat with AI, the more the AI will become much more powerful. So no one can ever imagine how much energy needed in that part. So definitely you can consider like some kind of design, but again, it's just like trial and error. So we don't know, because we don't know how the AI will, will be will react based on information that being gathered. So again, I cannot provide numbers, but I believe AI will be definitely one of the best, one of the biggest trends right now in the market. So of course with data centers.
The Data Center Go to Market podcast is sponsored by DCSMI, elevating the role of sales, marketing, and go to market GTM professionals in the growth of the data center industry. To stay informed about upcoming episodes, make sure that you subscribe to the Data Center Sales and Marketing newsletter on the DCSMI website that can be found at www.dcsmi.com. Again, that URL is www.dcsmi.com.
One area I'm curious about as well is, so viewers, listeners of this podcast come from all over the data center ecosystem. Some of them work for operators like Colocation and Hyperscale providers. Some of them are from technology or facilities related companies. Some of them work in construction or real estate or the investment part of data centers. Some of them work in sales and marketing. And a lot of the viewers and readers are from sales and marketing and channel partnerships and product and innovation kind of roles. For someone that's not as familiar with what a commissioning engineer does, for like the work that you do at Bureau Veritas, who is on a typical team that you work with internally? How do those teams fit in with other parts, client-facing roles of Bureau Veritas?
Yeah. So in my job, just commissioning a data center is like, if you have, let's say, we are a third party. So we have a client, and then the client also have a tenant. So that will be borrowing their data center, and then they have general contractors. So of course the client have general contractors. So first things first, we need to understand how the things work in data center. So first is there is a client who build a data center. Just one thing, just I was involved in so location data center, data centers. So in my job, it's like, once the data center is being built there, so the equipment is, we have the level of how we do the commissioning. So we have level 1, 2, 3 to 6. So definitely we have level 0. So if I will discussing all the levels, the level 0 is design and design review. So design review is like before the data center is being built. So there is a layout and a design, how the system is being built in that data center, or let's say how the building is being built. So the HVAC systems, and then of course the concrete and everything. How they place the generators. So where would they place the generators, and then how much is needed, how much power needed, and then many things about data centers, like example HVAC and then UPS and other things. So that's the one thing, that's layout. So this commissioning is doing reviewing design, and the second thing is, we have the factory witness test, or something like factory acceptance test, or FATS, or FWS, whatever they name it. So there are equipments like, for example, like chillers. So chillers are based from sample like smart DT from outside of that country, like Germany or Australia. So you have to go there. You have to go there to test if this is factory witness acceptance. So that's one thing we do. So we have to go to the place like Germany, and then we do the testing. So we have the scripts and how we do the standards, and how we do the checking if this is okay to go for, let's say, acceptance after factory is being built, after this equipment is being built. Then the second part is so we can see level 2 is that like installation. So the equipment is already factory witness test, or it's already approved, and then it will be delivered to the place wherever the data center it is. For example, it's Germany, delivered to Japan. And then once delivered to Japan, of course, we need to install it. And then after installation, then we have to check as commissioning engineer. So I am going to check the installation if it is based on the standards, or if this is a client based on the client needs. Also, are they using the proper bolts? Are they using the proper way of anchor? So that's one of the level that we are doing. And then the third thing, the level 3 is just energization. Of course, once the equipment is being installed, of course you need to test. Basically the general contractors will be testing that one. So they need to to operate, to let's say to make it run. So make it run if this is definitely working. So of course they have their own data. They will be having some kind of testing, and then they have some kind of scripts, whatever it is scripts. Of course, me as a commissioning agent, so I need to check if they are doing the scripts. They are doing the way they do the checking of the scripts is the checking of the equipment or operating the equipment is based on the standards that we are, based on the client needs, on based on what the tenant want us to do. Or definitely we have this all the data already. So they will be doing that one. So they have the testing, they have the data, and then after that that's the start the commissioning agent. So that's level 4, level 5, level 6. So level 4 is just like functional performance testing. So of course it's operational basis. So there are a lot of equipments like chillers. So in the chillers there's compressors, are also in other things like fan wall units. So fan wall units or crack or CRA. So those are the equipments that supplies in the cooling system of the data hall. So data hall is where we see the the servers or the racks. So servers is where we found out all the data. So that's the most significant thing, is to make the call the data center. So that's why we need to operate those equipments one by one. So first things we check the let's say we check the chiller, or we check the fan wall units. Then once we do the checking, of course we need to do the overall checking of how the system works. So we have the data as well. We have the scripts, we have the follow check all the sensors. So checking all the sensors and checking all the let's say the redundancy. So redundancy of the equipment. So redundancy equipment. Just very simple. Like for example, the data hall is being designed for N+2. So definitely N+2. So let's say they have 10 total of 10 fan wall units. So N+2 is just mean like that based on the design, they only need 8 fan wall units to supply the data hall. So data hall, once again, I will repeating it again. So data hall is like we see all the servers and then the racks where all the data are being processed in there. So that's we need to make it we need to maintain the temperature, like for example, like 22 degrees Celsius. So that depends on the design. So 21 to 22 degrees Celsius. So we have to maintain it all. We have the cold aisle and the hot aisle. So in that part is being tested during a factory functional performance testing. So overall system, how the system works, where the airflow back and forth, the hot aisle will be going back to the fan wall unit and return back as cold. So you have to maintain the the temperature within the data hall. So that's the main purpose of the equipment, mechanical equipments. Of course, generators. You need to check the UPS. For example, like if the power power distribution units or PDUs are not working. So if not working, you need to, if this is off, turn off. So with the uninterrupted UPS automatically automatically turn on. So it, because data center is it must be 24/7. So 24/7 operation. So you need to work it like 24/7 and never stop. Of course, if you stop it, it's just you're spending millions of dollars. I think that's one thing. And then the level 5 and level 6 is like IST, so integrated system. Once all the testing is being processed, to do some kind of turnover, check the settings, and that's it. I think that's one thing about the data center. That's what we do, commissioning data center.
And when a hyperscaler or colocation operator hires Bureau Veritas, or a general contractor hires Bureau Veritas, what kind of person are you typically working with on the client? Is it do the clients that you work with also have commissioning experts, or are they different kinds of job functions?
Yeah, definitely. So it depends on the client needs, and then our organization. For example, in our organization, so we have directors. So those project directors are talking with stakeholders, with other companies. Like whatever they need about data center. Of course, since as again data center is just new right now, just new in the market, and then they keep on jumping from booming in the market and Google and trending right now. So of course they need to have some kind of connection. So I was lucky. Bureau Veritas is I know 100+ years company, so I believe they have some kind of connections regarding that one. So I believe they have the way how we do the things. So of course we have regional managers as well. So regional managers, they're doing the contract. So if there is a client, of course they manage how the contract goes, and then the details about the money. And then we have the project managers. So project managers basically they are doing the asset management, and then also the progress of the project, and mostly the engineers. So we the commissioning engineers. So we have also the leader, project leader. So a commissioning engineer basically is you will go into the site, of course, wherever it is Japan or Singapore or India or in Germany. So you'll go to the site, do the commissioning, and then do the testing, and then you send it. Of course, that's how we do. So basically, regional managers manage the contract and then the sales, and then we have project managers, and then project leaders, and then commissioning managers, and then we have project directors, and then vice president. So whatever it is about the sales. So that's what I know about the organizational part.
So this is definitely high. You travel a lot for work.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
You will be moving from one place to another.
Yeah. Christian, how do you think being a data center commissioning engineer is going to change in the coming years when you look into your crystal ball with like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. For example, what I can consider, like for example, in the year of I can see in the near future, like 2026 or 2025. So for example, it's all about flexibility. So flexibility. So like right now, I can say the biggest or the mammoth in this industry is like AWS or Amazon Web Services, and then Google Cloud. So they already let you rent servers by the hour. But for example, like Alibaba Cloud, so in APAC, so it's taking it further with burstable like data centers that scale up in the peak demand. And then right now I can see that the Middle East twist. So in the Middle East, in the UAE, so United Arab Emirates, like I heard about the Kazna data centers. So it's partnering with solar farms to offer green AI housing. It's like carbon credits for computing if you run your workloads during the day, and then when the sun's out, of course, yeah, you get a discount. And then meanwhile in Europe, we have Ionos. Ionos is just using an AI to dynamically shift workloads between countries based on electricity prices and then carbon emissions. So the future isn't just about selling space; it's about selling smart and sustainable compute. I believe that's one thing that's will be hitting the next future. Of course, no one knows in the future, but I believe we have the trends. Then we can understand. It's just about sustainability and uptime, and then computation about things. So I believe we keep on learning. We keep on learning from one thing, so we can trial and error. So it we I this might be my my assumption, but I believe the near future there might be some kind of changes. So we don't know. Definitely, there are many people, there are many companies are working out there. So like just maybe jumping from one place to another. So I heard like Blackstone is investing in Earthrank like $45 billion. So I don't know how would they spend that money. It's very very big. So based on my understanding, in some data centers I will work on like 30 megawatts or 45 megawatts, they just spend like around 50 million, and then 50 million euros. So just imagine about 45 billion. So what they are planning to do. So we don't know. So we don't know. Like companies uh, like like Microsoft. So jumping, I believe there are so many things that need to consider. But the one thing is much more important is I want to consider, like for example, if you will be designing a data center. So it might not be related, but we do have to understand that designing the center is not just about like for example that this will work and that work, but the most important thing about designing data center is I believe is for example designing in data center is not just in but we have to also consider in not just in I believe in not just in extreme conditions for designing, but also we need to consider like in actual operating hours. Will be there calling system in the center is efficient or not, and then if the design provide calling for the extreme conditions. So I believe, for example, data center is located from like neighbor, many peoples are like in commercial places, so it's very noisy. Of course, the chillers are working there, so it's very noisy. Generators, whatever, because they need to run the generators. So most of the time, and then if they will not be if you will not consider those actual operating hours, if they will consider those things, so there might be, of course, the neighbors will complain. So there are many things need to consider as well regarding that one. On that part, I believe AI right now, I believe, yeah, it will be definitely uh, will be much more beautiful in the future. So we don't know, but I'm very interested and very excited what would happen in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's all I can say from my side.
So huge projects, huge investment levels, a lot more AI, a lot more pressure to pay attention to sustainability and utility grid constraints, and a lot more demand for commissioning expertise.
Yes, definitely. So a lot of demands, and then a lot of coworkers are being needed right now worldwide. So lack of, lack of engineers. So they need many, and sometimes they are urgent. Someone is calling you. You go to the Europe, you go to Germany next week, next month. But you need to process some kind of visa, so the company will help. So I just have to give the passport, and then they will do the processing, and then you have to go there. I have no choice,
Mhm.
and that's it. Since it takes time to get some visa based on my passport also, so they will be having a tourist. You just go tourist and going to work there. I don't know how the company do, but that's how they do the things. So I have no choice. I have to go there. So I think that's definitely one thing that they need to consider: the lack of engineers.
Yeah, it's the great part of working for a large company is that you have all this support to take care of a lot of the administrative work that if you were a commissioning consultant on your own or with a small firm, a lot more resource constraints.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's always
exactly.
pros and cons with entrepreneurial path and mid-market companies and enterprise companies. And yeah, Bureau Veritas is legacy brand, been around for generations and huge
Yes, definitely.
global
Century,
presence.
Cen-
Yeah.
yeah, century already.
Christian, do you have any favorite productivity tools that you use to do your job that are so indispensable that if your internal IT department or finance department was trying to narrow down the list of what's supported that you would push really hard to be able to hold on to?
Yeah. I do. So, for example, I can see like uh, in Eaton's power monitors, so are like a Fitbit for electricity. So they text me if circuit is overloaded. So overloaded. So in entity AR's goggles. Let's say like heat leaks in racks. So again, racks. I can say racks are those are located in data hall. So racks or in the server itself. So I mean the racks is where the server is being put in the rack. So that's what I would like to clarify. And then the DAMAC in the UAA it uses chat GPT to translate manuals into Arabic instantly. So they are just using AI, like I don't know, maybe ChatGPT or DeepSeek. So they're using this very fastly because there are technical manuals in Arabic. Sometimes, of course, I can see most of the centers they are translating it into uh, are designed in English. And then, of course, if you are in operation there, and then you don't know how to read English, of course, you need to translate very fast because you need to understand the manual. So we're using ChatGPT. So, but most companies are very brilliant, so they don't want to use ChatGPT because they will making the ChatGPT much more brighter. So instead, most of the companies they are creating their own AI. So we cannot use ChatGPT anymore right now. So we have to use our own our own AI. So again, ChatGPT. We are using ChatGPT, and then I love ChatGPT. And then also one thing of the pro tip is I could provide is if you are managing a global fleet, for example, yeah, globally, basically data center is working globally. Like for example, like Schneider Electric, eco structure is very useful. So it's just a game changer. So again, Schneider Electric's I can say eco structure is structural. So I don't know how to pronounce, but it's from Schneider Electric. So it gives you a 3D map of your power chain. So you can create a trace of a circuit from a grid all of the way down to a single server. So just imagine from the grid, from the supply of the equipment to the server. So just imagine how powerful it is. And then for personal productivity, I could see the Obsidian. So Obsidian will, let's say like Mermaid.js, and then plugins like just very difficult one thing. But again, those are the software that we are using. So translation, ChatGPT, very very fast.
And a lot more specialized versions of the
Yes.
LLMs going forward as we evolve
Yeah.
over time. Yeah.
Yeah. If you do have time, then you use ChatGPT and then translate and then finish, and then yeah, understand that. That's it. Because troubleshooting, you need to make it fast. If you're not troubleshooting very fast, then much more trouble. So that's how we do things. So that's also what I I heard from other guys.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Christian, I really appreciate you sharing so generously today. I know that a ton of people that are curious about commissioning and facilities and all different facets of the ecosystem, from operators and end user data center folks, are going to get a lot of value from watching this. I've been speaking today with Christian Dupalco, who is a commissioning engineer with Bureau Veritas in Japan. Christian, if someone wants to learn more about what you're working on or reach out to you, is LinkedIn the best channel to reach you at?
Yeah. So you can reach out on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, like you can research my name like Christian Dupalco. So can you find it up there? So I have connections. You can connect me. You can give me a chat and say hi. Then I will say hello to you. So again, anytime. Thank you, Joshua. Thanks for having me. So and then just remember, whether in data center, just a desert or rainforest. So the data centers definitely boil down into three things. So keep it cool, and then keep it powered, and for heaven's sakes, keep it online. So that's it from my side.
Cooling power online with connectivity.
Yes, definitely. Because if, even it is powered, it is not online, so it is not useless. It's just useless. So we need to keep it online. So that's what I would like to, just how the
I,
humor thing.
I think anyone that's ever worked in a sales or support capacity in any kind of co-location facility,
Yeah.
totally gets that, because they get
Yeah.
questions like that. And when things don't work, they're the first person that people yell for
Definitely.
to
So
resolve
yeah,
all that.
many things. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
And Christian, if someone wants to learn more about Bureau Veritas, do you have a favorite resource to send them to? The
Yeah,
website,
of course.
LinkedIn page, or?
Yes. You can type bureauveritas.com in internet, so you can find it there. So Bureau Veritas is just like famous companies, almost 100 years already. So you can chat there and then find out what we do, and then you can have. Actually, we are also hiring. You are welcome to to join our team. So you have to work here. So it's very nice to be part of this company as well. So you can search, and then you can use me as a referral if you want. So yeah. See you guys. So hopefully you have a nice journey.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate that. We'll include links to that, to LinkedIn, your LinkedIn, the company's LinkedIn, the company page as well. I really, really appreciate it. Christian, this has really been fascinating. Really enjoyed our conversation today, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with our listeners, with our viewers. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joshua. Have a nice day.
The Data Center Go-to-Market podcast is sponsored by DCSMI, elevating the role of sales, marketing, and go-to-market GTM professionals in the growth of the data center industry. To stay informed about upcoming episodes, make sure that you subscribe to the Data Center Sales and Marketing newsletter on the DCSMI website that can be found at www.dcsmi.com. Again, that URL is www.dcsmi.com.